Morning everybody, hope you guys are doing good. Time for today's YouTube video and time to stir the pot a little bit because I think that needs to be done occasionally, sort of keep life interesting a little bit. And not necessarily that I'm stirring the pot, but one thing I found out about this since I've had this YouTube channel and the social media is anytime that you voice an opinion on fishing, it doesn't matter what it's going to be, there's always some sensitive types out there that are going to take offense to it. So I think that's just sort of the nature of, that's just sort of human nature as it is. But there's really no reason to, because everything that I do on this channel, and the reason I created it is I'm trying to share information that has worked for me. I'm not concerned about what other fishermen have experienced or done. I'm just trying to relate to you, what I've known and seen and what's worked for me, what's not worked for me over fishing full-time professionally all over the country for 35 years and fishing a long time even before that. So the opinions I give you here are tried and true, tested from what I've seen for myself. And today's YouTube topic is really timely, coming up here in the pre-spawn, and I'm going to talk about the topic of red, using red, some type of red hard baits in the pre-spawn in the spring. And it gets a lot. I've noticed that there's a lot of information out there right now. There's a lot of stories, there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of posts about, use red in the spawn, use red in the pre-spawn. And I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, as far as red in the pre-spawn, red in the springtime of the year, that you know why it works good. You know why red works good more than anything else in the spring and the pre-spawn is because everybody's throwing red. That's why it's working. That's why people are catching fish on red, is because everybody's throwing red. And I'm here to tell you guys, from what I have seen in my own fishing, red is not the best pre-spawn spring color to throw. Don't get me wrong, it works. That's a good color, because in the springtime of the year and during the pre-spawn, bass are really concerned about protein intake to build up their egg sacs, and crawfish have more protein than shad in them. So yeah, they do key on crawfish a lot of times, and crawfish come in a variety of colors, reds, oranges, browns, greens, that type of stuff. So no doubt they feed on crawdads, and no doubt crawfish pattern hard baits, crankbaits, slipless crankbaits, whatever, that's probably the best time of year to use that color, simply because of that. But as far as actually catching the bass, from my experience, red is not the best color that time of year. The factors that you need to determine best color are from your environmental variables. It's the water clarity, it's the sky conditions, it's the wind, it's the time of day. Those things are more critical than simply picking up a red rattle trap and going fishing. I'm going to show you guys some colors that I prefer here, but let me give you an example here. The biggest limit of bass I ever caught in a tournament was at Sam Rayburn Lake. It was a pre-spawn tournament. I think it was late February or early March, and I was fishing this big grass field, with quite a few other boats. There's quite a few people out there. And literally everybody out there was throwing a red rattle trap. I mean, that's just what the deal was. You throw a red rattle trap during the pre-spawn, and some guys were doing good, some guys were catching a few, but I wound up, catching all my fish in that tournament on shad pattern crankbaits. I was rotating between a shad pattern rattle trap. I caught a few on the shad pattern megabass flap slap. I caught a few on the old shad pattern speed trap, Lear Jensen speed trap. It was all about the shad pattern to me out there. And I wound up catching 5 that weighed 25.7 the second day of the tournament, and should have had upper 20s the first day, but they just came in buttoned. But anyway, it wasn't all about red there. The only reason those guys were fishing red rattle traps is because everybody else was fishing red rattle traps, and that's what everybody said that you needed to fish, was a red rattle trap. And so that's one thing, that's one of many examples that I can give you guys. But I'm going to give you guys a little foundation of how I go by as far as color selection to see. So I've got some S cranks out here, some different colors. And here's just a typical red type pattern that a lot of people fish. And obviously this will catch fish in the springtime of the year, no doubt. The times that I do like to use red sometimes are it's not based upon the time of the year as much as the water clarity. If I'm fishing water clarities that are specifically into that 2 to 3 foot zone. You know, red is a pretty good color for me, and it catches fish all day long. But like I said, it's just one of many. The two main colors that I use in the pre-spawn and the spring for my crankbaits, lipless crankbaits, all that type of stuff, are chartreuse and shad patterns. Chartreuse, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, when you're talking about early spring, pre-spawn, when the water temperature's in the upper 40s to low 50s, you're gonna catch your biggest bass. I don't care if you're on a lipless crankbait, if you're on a square bill, if you're on a medium diving crankbait, so even sometimes a jerkbait, chartreuse is gonna catch your biggest bass in there right off the bat in the morning. If there's big ones biting, they're gonna bite a chartreuse. It works really good early in the morning. It looks really good on super windy days, days that have heavy overcast. Chartreuse is my #1 pick. And if I can get them to bite chartreuse in the pre-spawn, I'll stay with it all day long, because I just feel, from what I've seen in my own experience, that the bass average about a half a pound bigger if I can get them going on a chartreuse. You know, it's probably my #1 favorite color. But my real workhorse in the pre-spawn and the springtime of the year for any lipless crankbait, any square bill crankbait, any medium crankbait, is some type of a shad pattern. This is just a sexy shad megabass. The variation of shad pattern is not as important as the finish on it. Some of your shad patterns like this one have a flat finish. Some of them have a metallic finish. Some of them have a translucent finish. I'm all about shad in the pre-spawn. I have caught so many good bags and had so many high finishes all over the country. You know, I almost won a Bassmaster tournament at Lake Wheeler one year in early March when everybody was fishing red crankbaits on a shad pattern. There's just tons of examples I could give you. But the shad is my workhorse, and what I do is I love the shad pattern anytime you have water visibility over 2 foot. If it's 2 foot to 4 foot, that's when this is killer all day long. What I do is I adjust my shad pattern based upon the sky conditions and the wind conditions as far as the finish that I have on it. If I have a fairly cloudy type day where it's really windy and they're on a shad bite, I like the flat finishes. If it's the type of day that it's really bright and sunny out with a lot of wind, which you have a lot of times sort of in a post-front condition in the pre-spawn, that's when I'll go to some type of metallic chrome finish shad pattern. And if you have those days out there where it's not much wind, it's bright sun, and you got pretty clean water, that's when I go to like some type of a translucent shad pattern. But anyway, today's video, I just wanted to sort of bust that myth, which it is a myth. I mean, that red is the best color in spring. I haven't seen that from my own experience. I cannot say, honestly, I can't sit here and tell you that red is the best color to use in the pre-spawn in spring. It just has not paid off for me. It's a factor, absolutely. I'll throw it sometimes. I throw it and I'll mix it up with other colors. But if you gave me these 3 crankbaits right here and told me a shad pattern, red one, chartreuse one, if you gave me these 3 crankbaits and say, Randy, here it is, it's pre-spawn, water temperature 50 degrees, you got 1 color crankbait to throw, or 1 color lipless crankbait, give me that shad pattern. That shad pattern is going to get me more bites, it's going to catch big fish, it's going to be more consistent than any color out there. So anyway, that's what I have learned, for use it for what it's worth. Don't get locked in to everything that you hear about, what people are talking about, like from a popular standpoint. I mean, I think there's sort of in fishing, a lot of times there's sort of a herd mentality that people get locked into one particular technique, something that's hot at the time, and everybody gets on the bandwagon with it and they think that that's what they need to be doing. There's a lot of examples I can give you of that. And red crankbaits in the spring is just one of them. Like I said, it's an effective color in the spring, but it's not the most effective color. I just simply haven't seen it myself. So anyway, that's just the tip today. Hope that, I'm sure I'll get some comments here, people saying, man, I've ripped them on red and, that type of thing. And I'm sure you have if you've been throwing red, but give it a try. The next time you guys are out there, just try this. The next time you guys are out there and you're catching them on a red crankbait or red lipless crankbait, mix it up with that chartreuse and that shad. start off the bat in the morning with that shad, with the chartreuse pattern, and then, you know, mix it up with that shad pattern, and just let me know what you guys find out, because I'm pretty sure what's going to happen there. So anyway, just a quick tip to this morning, today's video. Hope you guys are doing good today. Hope you like the sort of the, it's not really controversial tip, but it's sort of against the grain. I hope you like those type of tips, because I enjoy giving them, because I enjoy breaking myths and fishing a lot of time, because there's a lot of them out there. But anyway, hope you guys have a good weekend. It's Friday here when I film this video. We'll be back later and with another video, and see you guys later on. See you.